Hello, my name is Mike Jones from FCSI's Foodservice Consultant Magazine. Welcome to the NAFEM Show 2025 and welcome to the Frymaster booth, where we are convening this special FCSI Future Tech Roundtable featuring three leading FCSI the Americas consultants and Wendell Hayes from Frymaster. We're focusing today on innovation and the whole labor piece. And so I'm going to ask our consultants here and Wendell to introduce themselves and so we can get underway. So Anja, let's start with you first, please.
I'm Anja Kuechenmeister, and I work with Camacho Associates. I am the Vice President of Business Development, and I'm LEED certified and WELL AP certified.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anja. Renee?
Good morning. I am Renee Palmer with FoodSpace, Associate Principal.
Morning, Andrey. Teleguz. I'm Principal and Owner of Scopos Hospitality.
Hi there, my name is Wendell Hayes. I'm the Vice President of New Product Development and New Business Development at Frymaster. It's been a lot of time in kitchens trying to figure out what people need next.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us here today at the show. Anja, let's start with the big question. In terms of labor, why is labor still one of the number one issues in food service right now? Why is this still such a hot topic? And is that going to change in the short term?
Well, labor is a hot topic right now because the growth in the market is huge right now. It's 5.8% over last year. Mm-hmm. And since post-pandemic, high-touch restaurants, the demand for that has come back, and about 70% of families eat out about once per week.
Wow.
However, the problem is the labor force isn't 100% back.
Yep.
And so with the challenges of the growth in the market and the high demand for high-touch restaurants and not enough labor, the costs of labor are going to continue to increase.
Yeah, so it's still a compelling issue. Okay, Renee, let's talk about how the labor question is informing the kind of projects that you and your colleagues are working on at FoodSpace. How is dealing with the labor gap informing how kitchens are designed at the moment, how they're being operated? What sort of impact are you seeing?
Yeah, so since COVID, the past 5 years, we've really had to rethink how we're designing kitchens with that labor shortage in mind. So we're looking more about automation, robotics. We're looking about how we can make a more efficient space with maybe not less labor necessarily, but just automating some of that, labor-intensive processes so we can focus elsewhere and create an even more engaging experience. And that kind of plays into the equipment that we spec. We're looking at a lot more like multifunctional pieces, combis, ventless cooking equipment, automated fryers. And so, it's really about trying to shift about not necessarily the house, right? Because we want to automate the house and we really want to focus on the whys.
Okay, great way of putting it. Thank you, Renee. Andrey, can you give us some examples from food service projects that you've either worked on previously or are currently working on where innovation specifically is helping to address that labor issue? And how is something like kitchens being more connected or better connected helping that whole piece?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like a self-proclaimed AI guru. I did a presentation yesterday on AI. And thank you. What we're trying to do is actually leverage AI with our designs and looking at from labor perspective. If we place a beverage station and that has a certain distance from the kitchen or from the servers, from the tables we're serving, how many steps each server's taking, and we can move that around in our plan. And we have an AI agent that can give us reports and analytics on how many steps, which equals to time, which equals to food temperature, right? So that's kind of the front of the house aspect. And we're applying the same thing. Renee was just talking about, back of the house, right? Certain food product, how long does it take to produce that? Where is that piece of equipment located in relation to the service point and all of that? And all of that equals steps to time and money and food temperature. So analyzing all of that and being able to use AI software to quickly create different scenarios, right? So that we can actually sell and pivot and convince our client, hey, or the architect that we're working with, hey, I need this space here, or else this is going to happen, right? And our client's not going to be happy.
Thank you very much, Andrey. Wendell, let's come to you on this one. The guys here the consultants here have been talking about some seriously high-tech kind of solutions here that are helping all of this. But ultimately, how does providing greater control for an operator, better efficiency, better visibility, to Andrey's point, into everyday operations. How does that help operators to save on labor costs?
Yeah, and now we'll talk about saving labor, but also keep in mind there's another piece of that when you talk about labor shortages is just attracting labor. So one of the things they want to do is not just save on labor, but make it easier for the labor to be done in the restaurant so that it's they can attract more people to stay in the business, right? What we're dealing with from a data standpoint is how do we learn what's going on in the restaurant and react to it? You know, if historically people had to be just have intuitive knowledge of, okay, I need to do this because it's this time of day, this is kind of what happens. And we're trying to get away from intuitive knowledge to where we can actually manage with data, right? Now we can actually see what's going on. We can see how many cooks are going on, what the product mix is, you know, how that relates to different pieces of equipment. And then the next step of that is when AI starts to come along. You know, it's like, how do we connect all these things together?
Thank you very much, Wendell. Anja, how are you seeing innovation actually tangibly helping your clients to manage the whole labor question?
Really to standardize their process. So standardization can help with reduced amount of labor in the kitchen and specialized talent. So that will make them more efficient by using a standardized process. You could do it over and over again. And it also helps with production and efficiency.
Yes. And so I guess an extension of that, Renee, from Anja's point there, is the whole question of training. So if we're standardizing things, why does training need to get so much better or so much more efficient? How are you seeing that kind of put into practice?
Yeah, it goes back to the why, right? And so we're really focused on, you know, what matters in that moment and what we're all there for. And it's that exchange of the plate from the service side to the guest experience side. And so that goes into the training because then, you know, again, going back to that automation, taking some of that redundant, you know, manual labor and focusing that on more of like the experience. I think that's super important. And, you know, we talk about like training. There's a lot of tools out there like with VR and AR, AI, that just, it enhances the training experience for those in the back of the house. And, you know, it also aids into like kind of shifting focus on, you know, that culinary art side of things, the creativity, the adaptability, and iterating on innovation within the kitchen.
Fantastic. Great answer. Thank you. And Andrey, you talked about kind of the whole analytics piece here. The old business maxim is that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So why is it so important to measure efficiency levels in order to manage them?
Well, as a chef that's running the operation, having insight even into like basic things like what's the temperature of the kitchen that my staff is working, because there's actually been a study, if there's a variation of 15 degrees in the kitchen space from what the human body is comfortable with, the production drops, 30% for that FTE cooking in front of that cooking equipment. So now the chef can say, hey, I need another fourth body, right? For every third person, I need a fourth body, and could be overstaffing, not realizing that, hey, there's something wrong with my kitchen and my production is impacted.
That's a huge issue. I guess as an extension of that, Wendell, let's get the kind of the manufacturer's view on that. Why is tracking that kind of data specifically now so fundamental in running a successful kitchen operation? Yeah,
so I mean, where we've gone now that we've started collecting data throughout the whole system is like, how do we start to integrate this stuff so that we can really drive value and make things easier in the kitchen? And when you talk about that, we see a lot of our customers working on kitchen management systems where historically maybe they had a prep guide that they were using, and now they're tapping into the POS system, they're tapping into artificial intelligence, then create a build schedule for what needs to be cooked at what times. And so now they don't have to think about what's being cooked. They have a machine that tells them what's being cooked. But now, the next phase of that is how does that then connect to each stage of developing the product, right? From the cooking aspect to the holding aspect to the serving aspect, how do you tie all this stuff together so it works as a seamless unit so that the connected infrastructure makes everything easier? You don't have to think about it. When it's time to cook, I've got one button. I push the one button because I already know that's what I have to cook. When it's time to serve, I've got the one product. It's lit up. Come get me from here. You grab that piece and you serve it, right?
You make it sound all so simple. One thing that really isn't simple is AI and the advent of AI and the impact it's having. Andrey already talks about this, but Anja, from your perspective, does AI in food service excite you, concern you? How do you feel about it?
That's to be determined down the road. It is exciting, but I think a lot of people are still a little bit unsure about it. The customers seemed to, I've done some interviews with some people, and the customers seem to like AI and robotics more of an entertainment purpose.
Right.
But they're not really, the restaurateurs are not really seeing the impact from just this robot moving around in the front. The restaurateurs want to see the back of the house and the front of the house move more efficiently. So I think that is going to be coming down the line, but we're not quite there yet from the feedback that I've received.
Great answer, thank you. Renee, same question to you really. How are you seeing AI impact on the kind of projects you're working on?
Similar in the sense, like some clients really like that robotics for the show piece of it. However, we're starting to incorporate more robotics in our product and projects. Again, kind of shifting focus on the experience side of things. And I think AI can really connect the kitchen and the experience in a whole lot of ways, like throughout our industry and the different sectors, whether that's, that connected kitchen thought process, supply chain and inventory management, waste reduction, on the customer side, that POS and customization interface. It's going to allow people to work smarter and not harder. So I think having AI in the kitchen is going to be pretty revolutionary to a degree. Yeah.
So thank you, Renee. Andrey, let's do some future gazing here. What sort of potential do you foresee for AI in the future in this sector, and how will it impact labor?
Yeah, so I think the food service industry has been trying to infuse or create robotics for a long time, right? We've seen robotics come and go, and I think we're just really at the prime moment today where AI has developed so far away, and what we're going to be starting to see is the convergence of AI and robotics, right? So now we have the hardware. We did not have the AI that we have today. And now if we combine those, like right now we have everybody. Tesla's working on the humanoid and all of this. Like the robotics are going to be much more advanced, right? Then are they going to be able to do things that we wanted them to do and couldn't do to date? So I think we're going to see a big leap towards that and start seeing more different applications that we haven't even thought about. So.
Absolutely. Wendell, how do you think food service equipment manufacturers are keeping up with that big leap that's kind of clearly the industry is calling for? How are you guys kind of keeping abreast and keeping a pace of all that?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to stay close to the customers and understand what the opportunity is. AI is a great tool, but it's just that. It's a tool. It's not a thing in and of itself. What matters is what are you trying to accomplish with it? And, you got to have the data. That's foundational. You got to have the ability to then use the AI to learn from the data. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Do we want to make the life easier on the crews in the kitchen? Do we want to increase efficiency? Do we want to do things with better utilizing our capacity? Whatever those goals are, it's about how do we put the tools together to accomplish the end goal.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Anja, you mentioned automation and robotics. How is that kind of functionality, that kind of technology impacting on projects that you're working on at the moment?
We're really focusing on using multifunctional equipment in the kitchen, the back of the house in particular, to help with those tasks. So we're advising our clients to move in that direction so they can see the results that they're desiring.
Sure.
And then from there we can move a little bit forward. But the trend is definitely going to be moving forward, and Camacho is fully on board with that.
Wonderful, good to hear. Renee, same question to you. How is it impacting on your projects?
Yeah, same. Again, using that multifunctional equipment, looking at it through a holistic sense, that connected kitchen piece of it.
Yeah.
And so, focusing back on the why, not on the how.
Yeah. Great answer, thank you. Andrey, same question to you.
We do a lot of senior living, like full sit-down restaurants, and actually are using robotics to deliver the food to the table, bus tables, and things like that. So we can have a robotic stage in a certain area of the dining room, and we can bus to it, then hit this room, it goes to the dish room, So what we're trying to do is keep the servers in the restaurant space so they spend more customer-facing time. So we're already doing that front of the house. I'm excited of where we can go back of the house as well.
Wonderful, thank you.
Very fun.
Wendell, how do we successfully get that balance between automating the things that we need to in the kitchen, front and back of house, but not losing the essence of hospitality, people serving great food with a smile? Do you think the industry is getting that balance right?
Yeah, I think the kind of different focus there from an automation standpoint is we need to automate as much as we can of what people think about when they're doing their job in the restaurant. The less they have to spend thinking about what do I need to do to serve my customer, the more they can actually be serving the customer. If they're too busy trying to figure out which free menu items need to be cooked and how I'm going to cook it, what sequence, they don't have time to think about the customer. But if we can take all that off of them with cognitive help from AI, then it just frees them up to really engage with the customer and make that experience better.
Wonderful, great answer, thank you. A final question for me, and I'd like you all to answer it, please. It'll be the same question. Will labor still be the number one issue for operators throughout the rest of 2025 and beyond? And why is innovation really the only tangible way to fix it? Wendell, we'll go to you first, please.
Yeah, again, I go back to what I said before. I think that labor, a lot of people always focus on labor and think about labor costs. I think more about labor competition. When there's limited labor, we got to make sure that the people want to do the jobs that we have for them. And if we can make their jobs easier with any kind of technology, then we can make it more attractive to work for us versus somebody else that they may be employed by.
Kind of same thing. It's how can I eliminate some of those multiple tasks for that user so that they don't have to manually push so many different programmatic, let's say, keystrokes on a combi oven, right? Why can't I, as soon as I pick up a tray of food, it already picks my cooking settings, right? And I know there's technology already out there. So simplifying that experience so that I can work quicker, smarter, and don't have to rely on maybe the training of that FTE.
Kind of combining both of theirs, right? So creating a environment that helps retain those staff members, the back of house staff members, right? And how that influences their training and their focus, and then again focusing on the experience side of things, and having it less focused on how many buttons do I have to press versus let me engage with this person. Let's create this welcoming experience for them, and something that they're going to leave the space going, wow, I had a great meal and I connected with so many people, and I'm definitely going to come back to this establishment, or I'm going to remember this meal because of the connection, not only just the food, but it's down to that exchange, right? That plate, from one side to the other.
Yeah, it all comes back to that. Anja, same question?
I think innovation is critical to make sure that productivity is more efficient in the kitchen, for the back of the house to focus on more tasks and being able to be that connection to that customer and delivering what that customer needs and wants.
Wonderful. It's a great note to end it on. I'd like to thank esteemed panel here, Wendell, Andrey, Renee, and Anja. Thank you so much for great insight and a really great panel today. Thank you. Thank you to Frymaster for their support. Thank you very much to the NAFEM Show for hosting us here. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.